Alright, let's just get this over with. Oh God, not you! You can't be the ghost of Christmas future! I'm not. I'm filling in for a friend. He had something else to do today, and because I have a time machine, he figured I'd be the person to ask to fill in. Although, I will admit, because of all the interfering I've done in my own time stream, I'm not actually sure why I'm here. What, your friend didn't tell you? Hell, you of all people should know why I'm too busy for Christmas this year. Oh, this is the too busy for Christmas year. I actually do remember this. So what do I do? Well, why are you too busy? Don't give me that cryptic BS. The Man in Black is out there. I can't be sitting around reading John Grisham novels or talking about Christmas movies when I have defense plans I could be working on. Right, this year it's the Man in Black making you too busy. Next year it will be school making you too busy. The year after it'll be work, and then eventually making videos in general will be too much, so you'll just stop doing those altogether. No! We love making videos. We don't stop. Do we? I'm not allowed to divulge that information. We don't, but you see where I'm getting at. What do I do? I know that I'm the future ghost, but what if the answer to your problems lies within our past? What got you right into the spirit during our first Christmas review, especially after a year of being marooned in another universe and chasing a mad scientist halfway across the multiverse? Well, I did a book that wasn't necessarily about Christmas, but it took place during Christmas and had snow in it. It wasn't really Christmassy, but it got me right into the spirit. But where am I going to find another book like that? There is another. You don't mean... Well, you know what they say about old habits. No, I got that. I think that book is exactly what I need to get me into the Christmas spirit. Thanks. Don't mention it. Oh, hold on. By the way, what happened to your hair? Did you change it or something? That's a very good question. It's always great talking with you. Jerk. Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair. 4 years ago, I did On Her Majesty's Secret Service, a James Bond novel, as my Christmas review, since it was tangentially related to Christmas. And that was fun, so I'm gonna do it again. So, some people, when asked what their favorite Christmas movie is, won't say stuff like Home Alone, or even one of the Rankin Bass films. They'll say Die Hard, since the movie takes place on Christmas Eve. It won't surprise you to hear that Die Hard was an adaptation of a novel, keeping with this Christmas's unofficial theme. But the development process of the film might surprise you. You see, the novel, titled Nothing Lasts Forever, was written by Roderick Thorpe, who wrote it as a sequel to his other novel, The Detective, which was made into a movie in 1968 starring Frank Sinatra. Thorpe wanted the sequel to end up as a feature film also starring Sinatra, so the novel features an older version of that novel/movie's main character, Joe Leland. But Sinatra passed on it, and then Fox attempted to get it done as a sequel to Commando, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, but that didn't pan out, and so eventually it became its own movie when they reworked it into a standalone story, altering it into the Christmas classic that it is now. But aside from the name change, making John McClane younger than Detective Joe Leland, and a few other minor changes, it's apparently a pretty faithful adaptation. So, let's see if Detective Leland can stop Gerber and his men from taking over a building on Christmas, and get into the book. Gruber is interesting. My copy is a movie tie-in, so it's just a shot of the building and news vans near it. This one is a lot cooler. It's the Klaxon building during a scene from late in the novel where Gruber is shooting down police helicopters from the roof. Spoiler alert, I guess. Anyway, it's pretty awesome. Let's get to the story. The story opens up with retired cop Joe Leland in a cab on his way to the airport. He's almost delayed by an angry driver, but he flashes his gun and the other driver lays off. He hits his head, though, which bleeds a little bit before he gets through security and onto the plane. He talks with a flight attendant, Kathy Logan, on the way there, and he promises to call her when he gets to where he's going. See, Leland is going to see his daughter, Stephanie, who works at Klaxon Oil. And a limo shows up to bring him to their HQ as their Christmas party is going on. Leland meets up with Stephanie and her bosses, who Leland doesn't like, as he can smell and see the signs of drug use on them, and he goes to clean himself up and tend to his injury in Stephanie's office's bathroom. Leland had noticed a suspicious car on the way in, and while he's in there making a call to Kathy, the phone cuts out. Leland investigates and finds that the people in the building have been taken hostage by Anton Little Tony the Red Gruber, who was attacking Klaxon as revenge for their aiding the junta in Chile. Leland keeps out of sight and decides that he has to figure out a way to stop Gruber and save his daughter and her children, who are also in the building. He sees them take Stephanie's bosses, Rivers and Ellis, away, and sees that the terrorists are armed with Kalashnikovs. I hope Leland doesn't try to pay the toll with American money, or he's going to end up on the People's Court. Leland is armed with only his Browning pistol and a fake badge that his fellow cops gave to him before he retired that reads, "This man is a prick" on the back. Leland doesn't want to give away his hand, so he plans to, instead of going in guns blazing and saving his daughter and grandchildren, to calculate a way to take them down without them knowing he's there, and get a message out so they'd have to fight a war on two fronts, with the authorities and Leland. Leland goes up to where Rivers' office is and hears Gruber take Rivers in there before executing him. Leland knows that Ellis is next and then Stephanie, and Leland rushes back to the 34th floor to formulate his attack plan. He starts flashing the lights in code, and that gets the attention of the German terrorists, who send a guy up to check, and Leland kills him without his gun, stealing his kit bag and weapon like it's a first-person shooter. The bag had some candy bars, ammo, and a CB radio that Leland can use to listen to their private conversations with. He sets the body up in the elevator and sends it down to give a message before going to the roof. Gruber starts sending out a message on the radio demanding that Leland surrender, and as he does, someone tries to find Leland, who hides from the terrorists. Leland starts traveling through ducts in the elevator tower and manages to navigate around the terrorists, but it's a tight fit. He manages to take out another of Gruber's men and pushes the body off the roof. Leland goes inside and finds another of Gruber's soldiers, a girl, and kills her as well, finding that she had plastic explosives and detonators with her, which he pockets. 'Cause you never know when you're gonna need explosives. Leland hides the detonators since the explosives are worthless without them and continues on his way. Christmas Eve ends as Gruber threatens to start shooting hostages and tells Leland that they're prepared to be holed up for weeks if necessary. Okay. We'll be right back. A crummy commercial? What a ripoff! I-N-E. I-N-E. Be sure to drink your Ovaltine. God damn it! Christmas Day starts with Leland cutting up his feet on glass that Gruber's men left in a stairwell for him. Leland takes out two more of Gruber's men and attempts to find something to stop the bleeding in his feet when his radio goes off. A cop, parked at the bottom of the building, returning his message for help. He fills in the cop on the situation and then goes to get himself away from the trail of blood he left. He radios again, learning that Gruber's men are going down to meet the cops. That naturally doesn't end well, and Leland manages to help a little by tying some of the plastic explosives to a chair and detonating it in the elevator shaft, ruining it and raining destruction and probably bricks and stuff down on the city. The cop, Sergeant Powell, puts his CO on the radio, but his CO is a by-the-book cop and Leland doesn't want to talk to him since the CO doesn't understand the situation like Leland does and wants Leland to stay out of the way. The CO puts it back on Powell, and Powell asks Leland for people who can ID him, since they need to know who they're working with. He tells them the name of a friend and Kathy Logan, since the phone cut out in the middle of his message to her, and she'd be able to corroborate that. Gruber radios Leland and puts Ellis on with him, with Ellis begging Leland to tell them where the detonators are. Leland refuses and Gruber shoots Ellis, which annoys the CO, Dwayne Robinson. Leland is caught by another of Gruber's men, a blonde girl, and she demands to know where the detonators are. He takes her to the roof and he kills her, but her partner locks Leland on the roof. His friend corroborates his story, so Robinson is off his tail, but he's still stuck on the roof. A few hours pass and Leland gets to talk with Kathy Logan before he's told of Robinson's plan to drop men from choppers over the roof. Leland doesn't think it's a good idea, and considering the cover of the book, I'm inclined to agree. He's still stuck on the roof, so to avoid the incoming firefight, he ties a hose to his body and uses it to drop himself onto a lower floor, busting through a window. He gets inside and just happens to land in the room where they stashed River's body in, and he lands on top of it. Leland gets his bearings and gets himself into a room with a television so he can see what everyone else is seeing. He stays off the grid for a fair amount of time and then contacts Powell again, planning to use a ruse with a camera to trick Gruber with fake live footage so that he can get the drop. Unfortunately, after that, Gruber contacts him again and he knows that Stephanie is his daughter. Leland manages to save most of the hostages, even Stephanie's children, Mark and Judy, and prepares to finally meet face-to-face with Gruber, planning to trade his own life for Stephanie's. He gets up there and Gruber plans to kill them both. Leland tells Stephanie to get out of the way, but she attacks Gruber, allowing Leland to shoot him. He goes tumbling out the window, but unfortunately he also got a grip onto Stephanie and pulls her out with him. Gruber dead on the way down, Stephanie dying when she hit the bottom. Leland is distraught, but there's still work to be done. He finds all of the illicit money that Gruber was after, and he gets ambushed by one of Gruber's final comrades. He headshots her and dumps all the money out the window as revenge for Claxon being the reason that Stephanie had died, since if they had never helped out the Chilean junta, Gruber never would have attacked. He gets to the bottom and meets Powell and Robinson, but there's still one person left. Carl, who has a personal vendetta with Leland, since the first guy that Leland killed, the one he put on the chair in the elevator at the start, was his brother. "My name is Carl. You killed my brother. Prepare to die." In the firefight, Carl kills Robinson and Powell takes out Carl. The story ends ambiguously, with us not knowing if Leland will survive the various injuries he sustained throughout the novel. Unlike the movie, where we know that McClane survives to die harder, die hard with a vengeance, live free and die hard, and dies hard on a good day. And that was Nothing Lasts Forever. Was it good? Yeah, it was action-packed like a Bond novel, but it also has the advantage of reading like the story of a first-person shooter game. Usually I wouldn't like books like this, but I was on the edge of my seat. Somehow, having Leland as an older retired cop makes me even more invested than with McClane as an active NYPD officer. I was disappointed that Mr. Takagi didn't make any appearances, but I guess he was too busy operating an illegal underground wrestling ring with Lou Ferrigno and Reb Brown. Plus, the fact that Stephanie doesn't make it out at the end is an anomaly with stories like this. Usually the hero saves the people he loves, but in this, Leland doesn't save everyone. He's lost his wife and his daughter and may possibly lose his life. It's a Pyrrhic victory of sorts. He's won, but at the cost of a lot. It's a good book. It's admittedly a little heavy on the cop lingo and military lingo, but I like that stuff, so it was no problem. But if you don't, it might be a little hard to get into. I'm not sure if I can imagine Frank Sinatra doing this, especially at 64, but I think that it works better standing on its own, as I went into it without reading The Detective, and I had no problems with not knowing Leland's character, as Thorpe does a good job of filling us in on that in the first few chapters. I give this one a stamp of highly recommended. It's a really good story, and despite not quite being my thing, it has gotten me a little bit more into the Christmas spirit. It's a good book with good action and a pretty damn awesome story. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more of the Literary Lair, you can hit that subscribe button. And if you have any comments or complaints about this video, you can put those in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this video, show it to your friends and share it around the internet. And maybe consider supporting the show on Patreon. What's on the docket for next week? Oh, that's right. See you next time. Leland had noticed a
6.5 hours later.
Leland keeps out of sight and decides that he has to figure out a way to stop Gruber and say, God fucking, why can't I say this?
Eventually.
And her children who were also in the building. Why was that so hard?